Welcome to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. I've been wanting to do a video on this place for a long time, and finally we're getting to check out the roller coaster capital of the world. Now this is going to be quite a long video, so I'm probably going to break it up into several parts because while I was editing it, I had an hour's worth of footage. I'm going to take you around through the entire park to all the different sections, tell you my experience, what I liked and what I disliked. And I'll be comparing it to Kings Island because that's my home park. I live literally right behind it. So this is just outside the main entrance of the park. This is the Gatekeeper roller coaster that you've been looking at. This is a fairly new roller coaster, having opened in 2013, and I love the aesthetics it brings to the entrance of the park. Just inside the main entrance of the park, you'll be greeted with the main thoroughfare of the park. I'm going to call it the Midway because it's kind of got like all of your main stuff on it, and it's a very long stretch, almost like a boulevard street. You're going to come across the historic carousel first thing. You'll get to look back at the Gatekeeper that you just passed underneath, and it's just a really nice area welcoming you into the park. It's got some historical plaques talking about the park, and I think the carousel is just amazing. Not quite as nice as the one at Kings Island, because I think the one at Kings Island is a little bigger, and I believe the Kings Island one originated from Coney Island. This is one of their main gift shops on the Midway. It's right underneath of the Sky Ride, which we're going to get to take a ride on right now, and it gives you amazing views of the Midway. And yes, I'm calling this the Midway also because on the map, it is labeled as the main Midway. This park is owned and operated by Cedar Fair, hence the name Cedar Point, and it is their flagship park. And you can tell it's their flagship park because just the landscaping, the rides, everything is absolutely immaculate. So here's what I liked about the Sky Ride. It gives you nice panoramic views of the main Midway of the park. You can see over all the roller coasters and rides, as well as off in the distance you can get some nice views of Lake Erie. So here's where I think this ride falls short. Sky rides are usually used for transportation to get guests from one part of the park to the other part of the park, like from the main entrance all the way to the back or vice versa. However, if you look at this ride on a map, it really only takes you from the front entrance only about halfway back in the park. And I think they could have extended this ride to get you all the way from the back because when you're way at the back of the park, it's a long walk. But still, it's a great ride and highly recommended when you visit Cedar Point, especially if you're visiting on the 4th of July during their fireworks spectacular. Get on this ride because the views are breathtaking with all the fireworks over Lake Erie and the roller coasters going. And yes, they do run this ride, at least in 2019, they were running it during the fireworks. And if you haven't seen my fireworks video from Cedar Point, I'll try and put a link in the description box below. But overall, great experience on the Sky Ride. Not too many complaints here. One thing I love about Cedar Point over Kings Island is that Cedar Point tends to have more sit-down restaurants, traditional restaurants like you would go into and be served by a waiter or waitress, like the Johnny Rockets there, and I miss Johnny Rockets. They used to have one at Kings Island. Whereas Kings Island is more like counter style. You walk up and you grab your food from a counter, and it's just, I don't know, it's more like fast food, and I prefer the sit-down comfy restaurant style, especially when you're paying the prices that you normally pay for at some of these theme parks. because the food isn't cheap.
Lights on it now because it's starting to get dark, so the rides start having lights on them.
The Raptor even has lights on it now.
Yep.
The Raptor is that green one. Look at that. Look at that. We're doing a light show. Yes. Wait, from here, it looks like
The Ferris wheel is one of my all-time favorite rides at any theme park, mainly because it's one of the best ways to get a nice bird's eye view of the park. Now, of course, like we experienced earlier in the video, they do have a sky ride here, but still, the Ferris wheel elevates you even higher than the sky ride. And this is one ride that I wish more theme parks would have. I feel like it doesn't take up a huge footprint, it's a high-capacity ride, and it's just very enjoyable for everyone, no matter what age you are. Unfortunately, they don't have a Ferris wheel at Kings Island, and that's really disappointing. I'm hoping they'll add one in the future. They are opening a brand new themed section, so maybe they'll include a Ferris wheel with it, although I haven't seen one being constructed so far, so I don't know. Do you call these Dodgem cars or bumper cars? I tend to call them bumper cars. This was a very nice ride with plenty of space. Some bumper cars tend to put too many cars on the track or have just a bunch of dead ones off in the corner, clogging up the track, so you could actually move around fairly well on this one. Want to see more exclusive Cedar Point footage and your name featured here? Head on over to patreon.com/tiltedtripodmedia, become a member, and gain access to all the member exclusive perks. And thank you for supporting the future of video. When I first came across this large building, I was very intrigued. At first I thought maybe it was like a big restaurant or food court or something, because at the Toledo Zoo, they have their main cafe is in a building kind of similar to this, not quite as big. But then as I approached the building, I was like, whoa, this is an arcade? Like the whole thing is an arcade. It was just awesome. So let's take a walk through this massive arcade and get all the sights and sounds.
There's the price thing. You guys, they have full-on bowling.
Heading outside of the arcade, you'll find yourself in a kids area called Planet Snoopy. Now what's weird about this is that Cedar Point actually has 2 sections for all their family and kid-oriented rides. Most of the Cedar Fair parks, including Kings Island, only have 1 large section for all of their kids and family-oriented rides. It's also odd seeing 2 carousels in a park. I mean, I guess Cedar Point is one of the larger parks, but still, the other carousel isn't that far away. This is the main gift shop geared towards children and all things Peanuts. If you want Snoopy or Charlie Brown, this is where you're going to find it, and it's a great themed gift shop. Kings Island has one just like this, and they're both very similar and very cool. Of course, the Cedar Point one is over the top, and I believe it's a little bit larger, but still, I enjoyed both of them equally as well. And I also think they did a fantastic job with the theming. I loved seeing, like, Snoopy up there flying around on his doghouse. And what is this? Is this a midget door? Or is this just a door for children? I don't know. It was really weird and intriguing. So intriguing, I just had to go through it, and I did. I just didn't film myself doing it, because I figured I was probably going to get stuck. But really cool to see that. Adjacent to the Peanuts-themed gift shop is also their candy shop, and that's kind of appropriate having it connected to the gift shop that is geared for children, because what child doesn't love candy? This was a very nice candy store. Comparing it to the one at Kings Island, I'd say they're pretty much identical. Not so much in layout, but like what they have to offer is pretty much the same, and it was great, nice and bright and colorful. We are now heading toward the back of the main Midway. As you could see, that's as far as the tram goes back in the park. What a shame. This is also where you're going to get to see the Corkscrew roller coaster up close and personal, and wow, that is an amazing view right there. Very famous and iconic. You'll definitely want to spend some time here admiring this amazing coaster. And now the infamous Top Thrill Dragster. Back in 2021, a metal object flew off the roller coaster, striking a woman in the head. This prompted Cedar Fair to shut down the ride in 2022. The good news is that the ride isn't permanently closed, it's not being demolished, and is not gone for forever. As of early 2023, construction has begun on a redesign of the Top Thrill Dragster. The famous top hat, which you can see in this footage, looks like it will be remaining unchanged. However, the addition of a large spike has begun construction. Now, I don't know, there are many rumors saying that this is going to be the tallest spike ever on a roller coaster. I don't know. It also may be twisted or straight. We don't know yet. The only thing I can say is that the Top Thrill Dragster will be returning after all of its modifications have been made. We are now in the Gemini Midway portion of the park. I really just see this section as a continuation of the main Midway because it's really just the far rear end of the main Midway, but it has some awesome rides. I love the monster ride. It's such a great classic octopus, or do you call it a spider style ride? They also have these Lake Erie Eagles, which are like, the flying planes that you can control. Also, the other kid-friendly section of the park, Camp Snoopy, is located adjacent to this section of the Midway. On the next installment of Cedar Point, we'll take a look at Camp Snoopy in detail, as well as Frontierland and so much more. Thank you everyone for joining me here, and I'll see you on the next episode.